Hello, this is Dolphin Coder and welcome to your first Java tutorial. Now, for those of you who already know what Java is, you can just skip ahead to a later point in this tutorial, but for those who don't, I'm just going to read off a quick excerpt from the Java website. Now, what they say is, Java is a programming language and computing platform first released by Sun Microsystems in 1995. There are lots of applications and websites that will not work unless you have Java installed, and more created every day. Some products that use Java include some TVs, and, in fact, Android phones. For those techies among us, Android is actually a port of Linux running Java. So, there you are. Now, without further ado, let's just get right into downloading and installing Java. So now, if you go to oracle.com, then you'll be brought to this page and redirected to this. So, if you hover above Downloads and click on Java for Developers, then you can go to the download page. Now, there are two options: download Java or download Java and NetBeans. Now, for those who already know which IDE they want to use and have chosen NetBeans, then you can go ahead and click on that download. It's a lot quicker. But if you don't have any idea of what an IDE is, or you'd rather download Eclipse, then just click on this download. So, now Oracle's going to make you accept a license agreement. If you don't want to accept a license agreement for some reason, then I would recommend you just skip this tutorial, because pretty much the only way to use Java legally is to accept their agreements, so just accept it. If you want to read the agreement, you can click on this link right here. So, yeah, I'm just going to click there. Now, as you can see, there are several different downloads. There's the Linux downloads. There are 4. 1 Mac download, several downloads for Solaris, and 2 Windows downloads. Now, you might be wondering, what are all these downloads? I have no idea. Say you're on Linux. Well, if you take a look, all these downloads are slightly different. These two say x86, and these two say x64. Now, what this basically means is usually x86 is a 32-bit operating system, and x64 is a 64-bit operating system. And, again, this might not make sense to some of you, but you'll understand what it means later. So, now, I'm not actually on Linux, as you can clearly see. I'm on Windows 8. So, there are 2 Windows downloads, x64 and x86. So, now you might be wondering, well, which one do I get? So, in order to figure out which one to get, you need to determine, are you on a 64-bit operating system or a 32-bit operating system? So, I'm going to show you how to do that on Windows. If you're on Linux, the steps are probably kind of similar. Mac, probably kind of similar, but I wouldn't follow this tutorial on anything but Windows to be sure. So, to find this, you can open your Start menu. If you're on Windows 8, you can click on this, and then move the mouse to the bottom right corner and move it up. Click Search. If you're on Windows 7 or Windows Vista, or Windows XP, then if you click on your Start menu, there should be a search bar where you can search for System. So if you search for System, then you can click on System right here in Control Panel. And that'll pull up this list of all the information about your computer. Now, if you're completely confused about this, you can probably also find this information on a sticker on your computer, but this is the software way. So, you can see I have some RAM. This is a laptop, so its specs aren't amazing, but you can see I have a 64-bit operating system and an x64-based processor. So, if I close this, I can see that this download says x64, which means that's the download I would need. Also, if you have no idea whether you're x86 or x64, that's your arch, then usually the x86 is a 32-bit download and the x64 is a 64-bit download. So, I'm going to click the download link, and then it'll start downloading over here if you're in Google Chrome. If you're in Internet Explorer, please leave Internet Explorer. If you're in Firefox, I don't care. Safari, please stop using Safari. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyways, so, if you choose to download the 64-bit version of Java, then when you go to download your IDE, Eclipse or NetBeans, you also have to download the 64-bit version. Otherwise, your IDE won't be able to run properly because it uses certain files that only come with the 64-bit version. So to install Java, just go ahead and click on the file. If you don't know where to find your file, then you can click on Windows Explorer and then go to Downloads, and it should be right here. So mine's right here. Now, here's the installation wizard. I'm just going to quickly scroll through that. You can just leave all this the same. If you really care about, if you don't want to install, for example, the development tools, that would not be a wise choice since we're going to be coding. If you don't want the source code, that's kind of a personal choice. It's whether you want to understand how Java works, I guess. Again, that's a personal choice. Now it's just going to be installing Java for a while. All you can do is just wait. So I'm just going to leave that, and now I'm going to explain the difference between these two programs and what they actually are. So, what these two programs are an IDE, short for Integrated Development Environment. And what that basically means is it allows you to program in Java and many other languages, as you can see right here, and it makes your life easier, basically. For example, say you want to type a line of code that will print a file using your printer. This program might recognize that that's what you're trying to do and tell you, oh, this is what you need to do in order to print a file. And you can click on it, and then it'll tell you, okay, great, that's what I want to do. Now, for those who think, oh yeah, this is basic, you can just, I guess, bear with me, because I'm going to explain more complex things in the future. So, now, there are two main IDEs that I recommend, NetBeans and Eclipse. Now, NetBeans is the officially supported IDE. It's supported by Oracle, I guess, and it tends to be the one that's first updated when a new version of Java comes out with new features. I personally like NetBeans. If you're a beginner, I would recommend NetBeans because its interface is more user-friendly than Eclipse, and it tends to have a cleaner interface, and the way it is laid out, I guess, is less complex. Now, those are the benefits for NetBeans. And now for Eclipse. So Eclipse is generally supported by a lot more of the Java community. So if you've ever heard of Minecraft, you probably have. It's all over YouTube. Then Minecraft, the developers openly support Eclipse. And if you've ever made a Minecraft mod using Minecraft Forge, or ever used a Minecraft Forge mod, those Forge mods have to actually be made through Eclipse or a different IDE, but they don't support NetBeans. So one other advantage to Eclipse is that it allows you to actually change where you store your files, your projects that you're working on. Its interface is slightly less clean, but one advantage is you don't actually have to install Eclipse. You download it, and then you can just run it right off the bat. So now I would recommend NetBeans, but I'm going to show you in a future video both different IDEs, and you can pick which one you like. But now let's just finish installing Java. So you don't need to change which folder you want to install Java. If it's not working, you might want to change that, but just make note of where you install this to, because we're going to need that later once we finish setting up Java. So click Next, and then we can just wait for that to finish. So you can see it's still updating. Now, I'm going to download both Eclipse and NetBeans, and I'm going to show you how to install them both. We won't actually go into detail about the features of each IDE today, but we will... That'll be for a future tutorial, but I will show you how to install it. Now, the download I would recommend is just this download. The different downloads, they have different features. For example, as you can see, this one supports different servers. If you don't know what that is, then go look it up, Google it. This download contains basically everything you could possibly want. If you're planning on just using NetBeans for C++ or C, then go ahead and just get that version, but that version is just that version we can't use in this tutorial since we're going to be programming in Java anyways. If you're looking to be programming in HTML5, then you can get this download. Java Enterprise Edition, it gives you these servers plus different, plus more features. But the general download that you would want is just the Java SE. So that's what I'm going to download, and you should get that as well. Now, it says Java successfully installed. So next steps, if you'd like to click on that, that has more information about different features of Java you might want to use. You can get started if my tutorials aren't going fast enough for you, but otherwise you can just click close, and now Java's installed. So, now you can see the NetBeans installer has just downloaded. So if you click on the NetBeans installer, then it'll take a little while. Then you'll get a security prompt, probably if you're on Windows, and then it'll, I guess it'll pop up and say, it'll give you options. So, if you just click on next, you can see. So you have to accept the terms and the license agreement. You can just read through that. If you don't want to read through that, it's not like revoking any rights that you have. It's basically just saying that you shouldn't copy the source code of NetBeans and provide it to the public, and you shouldn't modify it without giving credit to the creators of NetBeans. So if you accept the license agreement, then that's perfectly your choice. Now, this is installation for something called JUnit, and what JUnit is basically if you want to run your program and you want to see exactly what every single part of your program actually does, then JUnit will let you do that, and it'll tell you exactly what your program's doing. So basically, it just tests your program, and it makes your life easier if you're going to use it. So now I'm going to select that because I do use JUnit, and I'm just going to click next. So you can just leave this the same. You don't need to remember this. You also don't need to remember this because as long as you didn't change this path when you were installing Java, you can just leave it exactly as is. Then if you just click next, then if you want to check for updates for NetBeans, I would definitely recommend that because any new updates would allow you to fix security bugs, for example, with downloading plugins, and it can keep your system more secure. It has a whole range of benefits. You could get new features. Anyways, while this is installing, I'm going to go to the Eclipse page and download Eclipse. So now, the easiest way, if you don't care which version of Eclipse you're getting, you can just click on the download button right here. And that'll redirect you to the download page, as you can see right up here. So, generally, I would just recommend getting the Eclipse Standard version. If you're planning on using Java Enterprise Edition, then you can get this version. If you don't want something less sophisticated, then you can use this. If you want to do C++, you can use this, PHP, etc. But the general version I would definitely suggest you use is the Eclipse Standard 4.4. So I'm going to download that, and I'm on 64-bit again, so if I download 64-bit, it should work. So now it's going to choose download where you want to download it from. Just click this link right here. It might not say exactly what it says because they change their download sources or mirrors from time to time, but just click on the link right there and it'll start downloading. Now it might ask you to donate. You don't need to donate in order to use Eclipse. This is just a recommendation because they'd like to be supported, and donations help keep Eclipse running properly and create more updates. So now, I believe NetBeans does take a while to install, but you can just wait that out. And, yeah. So, if you'd like to, learn more about Java quickly before I create more tutorials, then you can just go to, you can search Java documentation, and it should pop up on one of the first search results. It's a great resource. I wouldn't recommend it for learning because it can be kind of confusing for a beginner, but it's definitely a very good resource. Now, some of you might be wondering what screen recorder I'm using, since I know not many YouTube channels make that public. Now, I'm using actually a free screen recorder by Microsoft. If you would like to record YouTube videos, I would definitely recommend this screen recorder. It's a very good interface and very simple to use. Um, However, I would recommend that you get it fairly quickly because Microsoft is planning on discontinuing this. Now, if you're wondering what this is called, it's called Microsoft Expression Encoder. So if you search Microsoft Expression, then if you just search that, then it should be one of the first search results. If you can just Microsoft.com/expression, there it has lots of different information if you'd like to find out Visual Studio, but the main download that you would really want is Expression Encoder. So if you click on this download, there's a short install process. In the process, it will ask you for a product key. Don't worry about that, just click skip. As long as you're not actually going to be using the video editing software and all its full features, then you don't need to worry about a product key. It's just free to use, and it's very good. So now I believe NetBeans has almost finished, but in the meantime I'm going to show you guys Eclipse. So if you just click extract, it should have downloaded a zip file, or if you're on Linux then it might have downloaded a RAR or a gzip, but you can just click extract, and if you extract I would recommend extracting to your desktop. That's probably the simplest place to extract to. But if you would rather not extract to there, then that's perfectly your choice. Just click extract, and then when you've finished, it'll extract for a while and then be done. Anyways, so that about sums up this tutorial. So, if you'd like to see more of my tutorials, you can go to youtube.com/user/dolphincoder. I also am planning on making more tutorials, such as batch tutorials, HTML5 tutorials, JavaScript tutorials would probably go along with HTML5. There's also a great program called Construct2. I might also make tutorials for that. And for those younger YouTube users, I might also do a tutorial on Scratch MIT. But, for so far, I'm just going to stick to the Java tutorials, and, well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm gonna, as soon as NetBeans finishes, I'm going to show you how to set up the path. Now, basically what the path is, I don't know whether you've ever used, command prompt in Windows, but in Windows, when you download Java, Java isn't actually set up. If you notice, if you press Windows logo R, and then type CMD, and then click OK, then if you type Java, it probably won't do anything. Now for me, I've already set up my path, so it's not a problem, but for you, you might need to set up the path. So now in order to set up the path, you should open Windows Explorer, then go to C, or wherever your home drive is. Then if you open program files, you should see Java right here, and now you'll see several different JDK and JRE. So now the JDK is actually where you need. So now if you go to bin, then if you click up here in Windows Explorer, then you can, and then press Control C, then you can copy that. Now, what we're going to be doing here is a bit complex, so before you continue with this, I will warn you that you could end up messing up your computer. So, if you'd rather not continue with this, this is not an essential step. This is only an essential step if you plan on using command prompt with Java and using the tools that come with the JDK. Otherwise, there's no problem with this. So, as long as you follow the tutorial properly, there should be no problems and your computer will be fine. Now, to do this, right-click on your Start menu, click on System, or search for System like we did before, then click on Advanced System Settings, or you can simply search in the side for Environment Variables. So now if we click on Environment Variables, now we have to scroll down and find Path. So if you see Path, you can see that already here is Oracle, Java, and Java Path. So now if I click on Edit, that probably won't be there for you. So if you go over, now as you can see, probably at the end of your path, there's probably a whole bunch of random Windows things that's probably not important. So what you do, you have to add a semicolon and then press Control V to paste. And what that'll do, that will add the Java path. Then you simply click OK. Now I actually already added this path, so I don't need to add it again. So I'm just gonna press backspace and you simply press OK, OK again, and OK again. Now, if you go to command prompt, press Windows logo R, type CMD, press enter, and now if you type Java, then it should print out a whole bunch of text, and that you don't need to worry about any of that right now. You can read through it if you want. You can type Java hyphen or question mark if you want to find out more, but you don't need to worry about that. So now you can just close this and you should be done. Now NetBeans has probably finished installing by now, so now if you'd like to contribute to the NetBeans project by providing anonymous usage data, as they say, it's your choice. I don't mind supporting NetBeans, but if you would rather not support NetBeans, you can deselect this checkbox. But it's completely your choice. So now if you click finish, then NetBeans is now installed. So if you go to your desktop, you see a shortcut to NetBeans, and if you double click on that, it'll start opening up NetBeans. So you can just wait for that, and I already have had NetBeans installed before this tutorial, so I'm just going to click yes. It gave me this dialog to import my settings, but you won't have this problem, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, Eclipse. So on your desktop, you should see an Eclipse folder right here. And if you open up the Eclipse folder, you should see all these files. If you don't see all these files, then there's probably another Eclipse folder inside. If you open that Eclipse folder, then you should see these files. If you don't see these files, then something went wrong with your downloads, and you should probably go back to the Eclipse website and download it again. So, now, in order to open Eclipse, all you have to do is double-click on eclipse.exe and run Eclipse. And as long as Java installed properly and you have the correct version of Eclipse, then Eclipse should launch properly, and now we'll be able to compare both features. So now you can see that NetBeans has launched, and you can see the interface is very clean, but you have not many many of the commands that you can use are actually hidden. So at first glance, it should open the start page. These are all my projects that I have before, but you don't need to worry about that. You should just have the start page. I'm going to explain all this and go more in-depth with the features of NetBeans later. For now, just know that as long as NetBeans opens, you're good. So I'm just actually going to close NetBeans now because we're not going to be using this in the tutorial. And as soon as Eclipse opens, you'll just be able to make sure that Eclipse actually works, and then you don't need to do anything. Now, it might give you a dialog that is asking you about the workspace. Now, what the workspace is this is asking you where you want to store your Java projects. What a project is basically a group of all the Java code that you've written, and it allows you to categorize your code. So, now, if you just like your workspace to be called workspace, then you can just leave it like this. If you want to put a capital W, doesn't matter. Now, I would recommend clicking use this as the default and do not ask again, because you don't want to receive this dialog every time. So you can click the check mark and press OK. Then Eclipse should launch, it should open, and it does have a loading dialog. Now, in case you are wondering, if you go to your user, or if you type the name of your username right up here, then you should go to here, and you might see a few new folders appear, such as .swt or .jmc. You don't need to worry about that, or also .eclipse. Those are just folders created by Eclipse. I would not recommend deleting them because Eclipse might not work without them, and but they aren't very obtrusive, and I doubt you use that folder anyways, so you don't need to worry about that. So now you can see that my Eclipse has launched well. Eclipse also has a similar welcome page. Eclipse UI does appear very clean. I do like Eclipse as well. So if you'd like, you can play around these two different IDEs, but that's basically the end of the tutorial. So I guess thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.